Hey, welcome to Dadpreneur Revolution live cast. So we are online right now, and we are here with our third interview. And I'm super excited for you to meet this guy, and I'm super excited to connect with him also. So this is a man like no other. and
Wow,
this is
man, let's just stop there. That's wonderful.
everything has been said. No, but really, this I've been following this guy for quite some time now, and I continue to be more and more impressed. So I will tell you a little bit about Jon Vroman. And so he's a father and a husband, and he has a huge heart, and that's really what comes through with every time I see him. Whatever he's doing out in the world is true heart connection, coming from a place of integrity and alignment. It's really that. So with a true dedication of self-mastery and serving others with all that he got. So I believe there's always more, but I really see him as a man like giving it all, and that's super inspiring. So he helps others live their life in the front row. And a quote that is really inspiring is, if you believe that your work can change the world, it's not longer your business, it's your duty. And more on, he's an ultramarathon runner. He runs a social entrepreneur. He's a social entrepreneur running a social foundation called the Front Row Foundation. And it helps people that are having life-threatening illnesses to having extraordinary experiences. And with over, is it 750 keynote speaks? Yeah, it's amazing. So on and on it goes. We could spend our full 45 minutes like giving the credentials, but it's so
everybody would leave.
But thank you so much for showing up, and I really appreciate you.
I'm excited about this chat. Let's have some fun.
Let's do it. So let's hit it off with something called the Fast Five. So it's basically we do a check-in with the 5 quick questions.
Awesome.
And then it's like the shorter format, and then we dig into the depth of and see where we end up. Sounds cool?
Let's do this. Yeah.
So could you share a surprise that you gave or made for your wife that she really, really loved or that she hated?
That's a great question. I'm going to have to use that in my group. That's a wonderful one. A surprise that I made?
Made or gave.
Okay, that I made or gave, but that she either loved or she hated. Man, I'm going to give you 2 stories. So one of the stories is that it's a failure, right? And this is and I share this because I want everybody to know that I'm a student and I'm learning all the time. And in the last, we've been together for 13 years, my wife and I, and it was probably on year 2 going into 3. We had just gotten married. We had a new baby. I had quit my job, my secure, relatively high paying job, and started my own business. And within a year, I'd spent all of our savings. And the next year I was going into massive debt. And it was a very stressful time in our life. And I was working so hard. Mornings were blending to evenings and weekends were not even existent. And I will tell you that there was a Christmas that rolled around on year 3 and I didn't get her anything. And it was one of those moments where I think I just it was almost a shock to me as much as it was to her, that somehow, some way I just justified that, I would handle it later. And I found myself laying in bed and almost like shocked at myself that I had gotten nothing for Christmas. And I was just a shell of a man, at that point. I had given everything to try to make it work. And I know that was, that was the worst of it. And I know that's not exactly what you're asking, but I wanted to share that story because I have failed more times than I care to admit when it comes to wooing my wife. But I will also tell you that there have been some times when I've really hit it out of the park, and I really have done some things that, were really a victory. And one of the best ones, I believe, was that I bought her a ticket to go see Dr. Joe Dispenza, who I don't know if you follow his work, but meditation. right?
Yeah.
And I bought her a ticket to go to his event in Vancouver, and I surprised her with that. And that actually worked out so well that I ended up buying her a trip to go see her friends in Georgia. This is in the US, in Athens, Georgia, in the US. And I surprised her with that. I set it up. I contacted all of her friends. I bought her a ticket and I sent her out of town. So I will tell you, the ones where she's been the most pleased has been the ones where I've created adventures for her or experiences for her. And that's where I've won.
Awesome. Beautiful to share both of these. Like, it's really the one or the other is only like the value is created in the distance between, in the journey we're taking. It's like I watched some movie the other night about some billionaire, actually 50 Shades of Grey, if you've seen those. Like, he's a billionaire and he buys a beautiful gift, but it's like, what's the thing? Because it's so little effort for this billionaire to buy this, the most extraordinary roses. But if you know the journey of the challenge, you're really doing the effort to do one's best, to really efforting to step up, then it's,
you pay attention.
Yeah,
the best advice that I've ever received and that I would love to pass along is, really, it's not like holidays are not the times to be thinking about gifts. You really need to be thinking about gifts all year long. And you need to be paying attention to what's important to those people in your life, and then making notes of that, right? And keeping a register of, like, when they like something, notice something, when something lights them up, you're noticing all year long. And that's the way to do gift giving at its finest, I think. And you're speaking their love language. For my wife, it's experiences. It's not material items, it's experiences. She wants to travel the world. She wants to meet people. She's a people person.
Yeah. And the world for sure would be very different if we all knew our intimate partner's love language.
Yeah.
So could you share with me an action, or you spoke about Dr. Joe Dispenza, so it could also be a non-action that makes you feel most alive?
For me, the action that makes me feel most alive is actually in alignment with what I've been teaching for the last 14 years, which is what we would refer to as like the front row philosophy. It's a life philosophy, and that is that the front row is a metaphor for getting close to the people, places, thoughts, and things that light you up, that make you come alive. And so I believe that the way to approach life is to get close to all the people, places, thoughts, and things that make you come alive, right? And you can do that in lots and lots of different ways. For me, it's family time is one of the things that makes me feel most alive. I feel most on purpose. I feel most like I'm really succeeding. Right. And we had a podcast interview on the Front Row Dads podcast where we talked about being famous at home. We spent a lot of time trying to be famous around the world or to other people, but like, be famous at home. And, even this morning, just literally moments ago, 30 minutes ago, I was on a bike with my wife and my 10-year-old son, and we were biking his new route to school. He's going to go to a new school and he's going to be biking to school. And we rode the route together this morning. And I thought to myself, there's so many things I could have been doing to build my business, right? So many things. I could have had calls, I could have been designing, I could have been building, but I was out biking with my family. And I just took a moment and I said, this to me is what makes me come alive. And this is where I feel that I'm at my best. And when I'm on my deathbed looking back on my life, that's the thing I'm going to be most proud of.
Yeah, I will. It's good. We will dig into deeper to this shift in a moment. And speaking about mornings, could you share some about your morning and day and even evening routine that keeps you on point? And then we have the on point, but then we have, you speak about this like really elevated states. But could you share parts of your routine that keeps you like that on, so you really can perform and be present in family?
I like routine and I like variety. So I like to shake up routines, is the way that I feel about life. So, there are some things that I think are staples, but they're not every day. I'm not the type of person that 7 out of 7 days is going to do likely anything. But there are some things that I try to do more regularly that I believe help me, to succeed. So I'll tell you what I'm doing, and I'll tell you what I'm not doing too, because sometimes habits are what you remove, right, as much as what you add. So for me, when I think about morning times, number one is that I think the first habit that you need to nail is sleep. I think you really need to dial in sleep, because if that's not aligned, if it's not working, if you're not getting enough of it, it's going to be very difficult to perform at your best the rest of the day. So I think sleep is really important. So I'll actually sacrifice my alarm in the mornings at times to get the additional sleep, because I know that I'll perform a lot better all day long, right? And so when I am up, my routine right now is number one, hydrate. And I know it sounds funny, but I put a lot of effort into how I hydrate myself. So like I have cold water in the fridge, and I have all these fancy water bottles. Look at this thing right here, man. This holds 64 ounces of water, that bottle right there. And I fill it up with cold lemon water. One of my favorite things to do is I freeze concentrated lemons that I've blended up in a Vitamix, and I add them to my water bottle. And then I'll make another water bottle that has maybe some supplements that I use when I'm working out. So maybe like amino acids, or some Organifi red beet powder or something like that I'll put into a bottle that I take to the gym. And then I'm making tea. I make tea for myself. I make tea for my wife. And what's interesting is this ritual of hydration in the morning has become like a really fun thing for me. It's a thing I look forward to, right? And just getting going during the day. And so once I do that, then it's take care of my family, right? It's feed the kids, it's sit down and do some studying with my oldest son, and just connecting with the family. We do a morning circle that we've been experimenting with now, where we sit around the table and say, what's your intention for the day? What do you hope to get done? That's been really cool. And then I don't schedule almost any work before 9 a.m. So I hit my office, which is in my home, about 9. And then during the day, my habit and my routine that keeps me on track is being active during the day. So I'll give you an example, and I'll show you right now. Actually, if you're watching, you'll get this. If you're listening, I'll just try to articulate what's happening. So first of all, I'm at a standing desk now, right? So I'm always I'm 90% of my day at a standing desk. And then I also have this balance board, and I could actually show it to you.
Please.
And for the rest of everybody, I'll explain it. But it's like a circular board about 1.5 feet in diameter. And it's got like a skateboard material on the top, and just a ball and almost like, imagine like a center, smaller area underneath of it, and you stand on it and you balance yourself, and it works your core. So sometimes I'll do podcast recordings and I'm like standing on the balance plate, right? I've got a pull-up bar in my doorway. I've got a rebounder or a trampoline available, and I've got all these things, and I try to stay active all day long. So I'm constantly doing push-ups and squats and pull-ups and just being active. I try to take as many calls as I can on walks outside. I try to be as active as I possibly can. And to me, that's a big part of what makes the day work. And the other part of the day is what I don't do is I don't overbook it. I think that people get into trouble when they, like, in an ideal world, I'm going to do a call here and then a call right after that with no buffer time, no time to breathe, no time to think, no time to like calculate your next move. And so I try to create space in my calendar. And to me, that's a habit that, I'm a go-getter, and I want to do so much with life that I have a tendency to overbook. So protecting my time has been the key, not to maybe more productivity, but more happiness, more fulfillment, more of what I really want, which is a quality of life, right? And figuring out how to get my work done in shorter amounts of time. That to me is the game. And then the evening routine is just always, I'm out of work by 4:30 or 5. And then I try to, I'm always hitting the gym. I'm always getting some type of exercise. So it's either during the day or right after work, typically. And then it's into family. Dinner time, hang out, put the kids to bed. I love to read books. I love to make sure that process goes well, because I want to get them down to bed, because then that's also my time for my wife and I in the evenings to connect. And how did the day go? Watch a TV show or cuddle on the couch or whatever it might be. Go walk the dogs. But that's our evening time, and then kind of rinse and repeat.
Beautiful. Awesome. And I really appreciate this thing, what you're saying, to go from the achievement of maximizing to actually pull back. And I'm happy you caught that also, because it's like with this alignment, I think that's your routine speaks a lot about that. To connect the deeper heart. It's like I believe strongly that the heart is the much bigger place of intelligence than the head. And to be able to connect there, we really need to take deep breath and really connect and not be stressed out. If we are here in the lizard brain trying to put out fires, we can make a lot of action. We can seem really busy, but actually nothing has gone done in the end of the day. So I really can see how your routine actually get a lot of important and valuable things done in an enjoyable way.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then could you share your favorite way to connect with your kids and how this activity make you feel?
My favorite way to connect with my kids, well, let me answer that two different ways. The way that my kids like me to connect with them is by playing Tickle Monster. So Tickle Monster, I cannot believe that they still love this game, that they can't get enough of it. They want to play it all the time. They wanted to play it this morning. They walked into our room, like first thing, we were awake for 60 seconds and my 4-year-old is like, "Dad, let's play Tickle Monster." And all the game is they run, I chase them, I grab them, and tickle them till they pee their pants. And that's the whole game. Like, it's literally like I act like a monster and, and I run and I tickle them. And then there's variations to the game. And then they're like, now you got to hide and you got to do this. But everything is a result of me. Like, physical touch is really big for my boys, right? They want to wrestle. They want me to, they want me to tickle them. They want me to pick them up. They want me to throw them around. Like, that is a love language for my boys. And so I need to know that oftentimes it's like I'm like, really, another game of Tickle Monster? Like, I am so done with Tickle Monster. But I have to just remind myself, this isn't about me. This is about them feeling loved, right? And so sometimes I'll just say, yes, for 5 minutes, let's play, and do 5 minutes of Tickle Monster, and that satiates the connection that they're looking for. And then I would say that the thing that I love the most with my boys, man, there's so many things I love, but one of them is I love when I feel like I'm being an intentional dad. Like, my favorite time with my boys is when I feel like I'm actually doing something that's teaching them a lesson, or that I'm not doing something because I'm barely surviving, but I'm actually like, working to teach them something and help them become men. So as an example, the other day, my boy wanted to shoot the BB gun. And so I have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old, and we went out back, and they're both wearing glasses, and we're teaching them gun safety, and they're shooting a BB gun. And, and we're not a gun family. Like, I don't own any firearms or anything like that. But the BB gun is, that's sport. They've really been enjoying that. But I enjoyed teaching them responsibility. I enjoyed teaching them how to, be aware of their surroundings, right? And even it leads to other conversations. Like, my boy is like, I want to shoot that bird. And I'm like, hey, there's, if there's nothing wrong with knowing that, like, if you eat any meat at all, if you're a meat eater, you're a hunter. You just might not be actually shooting the arrow or the bullet or killing the animal, but you're part of the hunting process, right? Like, so for them, for their primal nature to want to explore that, and for me to have conversations about how we treat nature and how we treat animals and to be respectful and all those things, all those conversations come up just in a simple act of going out and shooting a BB gun. But when I'm engaged at that level, I feel like I'm winning, and I feel like I'm on purpose, and I feel good about myself as a man.
Awesome. Beautiful. And you gave such amazing answers on this in this five question check-ins. We'll keep it to 4, and then we dig a bit deeper.
Sounds good.
So I'm really curious to hear this. If you could share with me a number one truth or insight that you've had in your life, that if everyone on this planet, or you could also say all men or all dad, you had this insight, the world would be a different place.
So recently, we had a conversation in our men's group, Front Row Dads, about what makes a successful family or a marriage. And there's lots of answers that are great answers around that. And I believe that one of the most important, hard to say the most important, but a truth, no doubt for me, is about forgiveness. It's just about letting go. There's so many strategies about how to collaborate, how to honor someone's love language, how to understand values. And at the end of the day, all those can be effective, and that you can do all the things that you want to try to live a perfect life where nobody is upset at you and you're not upset at anybody, and you're not going to rub anybody the wrong way, and you're not going to let anybody rub you the wrong way, and all that stuff. Man, at the end of the day, there's just sometimes when forgiveness is the answer. Just go, I forgive. We all make mistakes. Hey, I forgive that person for getting angry. I forgive that person for being messy. I forgive that person for being lazy. I forgive that person for being, and that's not lowering standards per se. I understand the value of high standards. I understand standing up for yourself at times and saying, this is a standard. I'm not going to dip below that. But we also have to be careful that that philosophy left untamed is not healthy either, I believe. That there has to be an element of just, hey, people are doing the best they can with what they have, right? Somebody that grew up in a horrible living situation, who has been hurt by many people multiple times, who had little guidance, who didn't have access to the proper education, who didn't have access to the proper nutrition, who have suffered, right? In many, many ways, you know, ultimately you can say, I know why they may behave the way they do. I know why some children who weren't touched at a very young age, who didn't literally have physical touch and love, have developed failure to thrive syndrome or some mental disorders as a result of that, right? That they were a victim of those as kids and they're still dealing with those as adults. And so I think that we just need to be more compassionate. We need to be more understanding. Yes, have high standards, and yes, be good at forgiving. Both need to be true, but I believe that forgiveness and letting go and just moving on, and is an important skill.
Yeah, it makes me think about we had when me and my wife got married, we had an alternative and then like an official kind of priest or ceremony space holder, and she shared wisdom as a blessing to us, and she gave one advice to me and one advice to my wife, and advice she gave to my wife was never ever criticize your man. Whatever he does, never criticize him. She's done it, but it's actually not many times. She's been putting a lot of effort to pay respect to her advice. And
wow. Props to her.
Yeah. So I'm super grateful. Like I think me and so many other men are very vulnerable to, and it hurts a lot to be criticized. And the advice that she gave to me was, say that you're sorry. Mm-hmm. You might not know how you messed up. You might not have realized, but if you notice, if you think like, what's up with her, just say you're sorry, because it's quite likely you messed up in some way.
Yeah.
And I also, failed at that many times, but I say I'm sorry so many times, like, it's probably something in this situation where I played a bigger part than I realized. And by saying that, of course, then it's her needing to forgive me, but it's still in the same space of interaction and allowance and not, pushing, but allowing the other one to expand. And I find it very liberating also.
Yeah. Well, interestingly on that subject, and the power of forgiveness and saying I'm sorry is one of the things we need to demonstrate in front of our kids a lot. Right. So I'll give you an example. This morning, this is such a ridiculously small thing, but it's a big thing for me. There's this lid from a pan that's been in our garage for 4 months now, and it needs to go back to this other family. And I finally just had my breaking point today, and I'm like raising my voice to my wife in front of my 10-year-old. And I'm raising my voice saying, we have to get rid of this thing. Like, get it to whoever it has to go to. I will mail it. I will drive it. I will literally hire somebody to take it to whoever it has to go to. I'm so sick of looking at this lid, right? And I kind of lost it, right? Because I've been looking at this lid for 4 months. Well, I then came back downstairs like 5 minutes later, and I grabbed my wife by the hand and my son by the hand, and I very calmly just said, guys, I'm so sorry for raising my voice. And I said, I love you both. I said, I just want you to understand that, like, to me, the way I'm wired is that this really bothers me to have these incomplete things, these things laying around, this clutter. Like it's in my DNA. It's kind of how I was born. And I don't think that I'm right. I don't think you need to be like me. And I'm not trying to blame anybody, but what's bubbling up inside and my intensity comes from my own personal frustration. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about me. And I just want to own that. And I just want to say, I'm really sorry. So what you just saw was not me being angry at anybody. It was me being angry at me for not getting this done earlier, right? Not handling it. Well, an hour or so later, my son kind of blew up about something relating to school supplies, right? Like that mom was going to take back something that he really wanted to keep. And but what I watched my son walk over, and almost exactly as I did an hour or two earlier, he walked up to my wife and said, I'm really sorry. Here's what's really going on inside my heart. I really just want to be cool in front of my friends at school. And if you take back the supplies, I'm not going to be cool in front of my friends at school. And that makes me sad. And I was just like, now, whether or not I had anything to do with that, he might have just been an awesome kid on his own without dad's influence. But I got to believe that me leading the way with owning why I reacted the way I did allowed him to do the same with mom. And that was really good.
If we were really live right now, I would give you a really proper high five.
Thanks, buddy.
It's so inspiring. It's these small things that I believe is really everything, and it takes the present to be there. Like, I bet a lot of other guys did a choice of running their business far away or putting in the hours in grinding, all for good, also doing their best.
Yeah,
but they would not be there and not done the first or the second thing.
Yeah.
So it's really about like leading from the vulnerability and like from really showing up as I see myself. I had a shift some years ago from like really like always been trying to be my best, and then I realized, but I'm just a messed up pile of molecules that is trauma.
Yeah.
And that was such a blessing. It's like, and so are you, and so is my wife and my kids. Like, we're all messed up.
Yeah.
And we have this history, and I'm doing it wrong all the time, and so is she, and so like, I thought, yeah. But from this place of mess, we're really putting in our best effort. And it's like, wow, that's so beautiful. That's so. It's like I can only pay respect and gratitude to that effort, because we come from that we all do from our parents, from our journeys, from our fears and all these things, and then we're here. That's me.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff, man. I like that.
Yeah. So the front row movement, I'm really, really super excited about that. So could you share some like both mindset shifts and practical shifts that you see need to happen to allow a man to go from, say, first a business guy with the family to a family man with business? And
I'm so glad you said that.
The place of shifting up, going to really going to the front row.
Yeah.
What needs to happen?
Yeah. I mean, this is all a choice. This is one of those moments where somebody's going to have to be ready to take the leap forward. And I know that I can just be out there with my own personal thoughts, my own personal opinions. If they resonate with somebody, awesome. So many times other people have stepped up, shared their thoughts, shared their feelings and opinions about life, and their words became my words. Their beliefs became my beliefs because they said something, and I'm like, yeah, wait a minute, I've been feeling that, but you just said it in a way that I get it now, right? I just could never put it into words, or I couldn't quite wrap, that into a short statement. The one that you just said is the one that resonates with guys the most, right? It's like, are you a businessman who happens to have a family on the side, or are you a family man who has a business? And I realized that for the first 6 years of my son's life, I was a businessman who happened to have a family. And when my awakening happened at an event where somebody was asking me what I did. And I know what they were asking. They were asking what I did professionally. And I started to answer what I did professionally. I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I'm an author, blah, 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 right? But I cut myself off and I said, wait, actually, I'm a dad and I'm a husband. And when I'm not doing that, I do some other stuff. And I said it, and they're like, that's the coolest answer to that I've ever heard. And I said, that answer actually feels the best of any answer I've ever given about that. And what's also cool about that is it's not like you try to build yourself up to be some, super special person with like this big bio that you're trying to reveal humbly to this person, in front of you. But it's like, no, like the thing I'm most proud of is I'm a husband and I'm a father. And then I do some other things. And actually, it's quite intriguing. They're more interested in like, well, okay, so that's awesome, by the way. I love that. Tell me about your family. And now what else do you do? And they're even more intrigued about what you do, which is really cool. But when I went home from that, I said, look, while that felt right, that is not how I've been living my life. I've been living my life like I'm a businessman who happens to go home to a family for a couple minutes. And I said, that's got to change. My calendar did not scream family first. I always said it, like, family's most important, but my time and my calendar did not reflect that. And so I decided to make some changes. And one of the big changes I made was that, I'll give you an example. For years as an entrepreneur, so I've been an entrepreneur since I've been 18, and I'm 44 now. So for my entire, let's call it 20s and 30s, I had trained myself that my best hours of the day, the ones where I was most awake, most aware, most ready to work, needed to do my hardest work possible. Like, for work, for my business, I needed to tackle the biggest, toughest, most difficult things. I needed to write a book during those hours. And those hours for me were morning hours. I wake up, I get going, I need to get right into it, right? Those are my best hours. So I always would say to my wife, those are my best hours. I need you to handle the kids. I got to do work because I'm the breadwinner of the family, right? So I need you to handle the kids. The problem is she's terrible in the mornings. She's not a morning person. She hates mornings. So she'd be fighting with the kids, resentful of me that I'm not around, even though I'm making money for the family. I'm still absent as a dad. And so finally I said, if family is first, why don't I give my family my best hours? Why does my family get the rest of me and not the best of me? And I said, I'm going to change that. So I'm going to start spending time every morning with my family. I'm not going to schedule anything before 9 or 10 a.m. on most days. And that's exactly what I did. I started driving my son to school. I started to get more involved in breakfast. I started to get involved in the morning huddle and all that stuff. And my business grew. It did not suffer. Although I was prepared for it to, it did not suffer. It actually grew because I felt better about myself. I felt more in alignment. I had more respect from those who knew me and worked with me for what I was doing. So I think that's the answer. I don't even remember what the original question was, but that all felt right.
It was for sure better than right, better than the answer. And so we have these different stages. I believe there is a lot of guys that are unaware about this leap, about this shift, not aware that they can go to put family first in that way that you're speaking. Like, it's a really high level. And then we have guys that, are problem aware, like, I'm not enough. And then we have guys that I want a solution, and they come to you, for example. But what do you see are what needs to happen for guys to take level up?
That was the question. Good question. What needs to happen? One is an awareness. Like, there's no doubt that once you're aware of something, you're going to do something about it. Like, let's say right now, if there was somebody in my house that was robbing me and I was unaware of it, I wouldn't do anything about it. But if I actually knew that somebody was here, right, robbing me, I would put this on pause and go handle that because I'm now aware of it. And when we say enlightenment, that's what we're actually talking about. The lights are now on. You're not stumbling around in the dark. You have lights on. And you could do something. So part of it is just being willing to admit, being willing to take a look, being willing to acknowledge, this isn't to beat yourself up. This is just say, what do I want and where am I and how do I close the gap between where I am and where I want to go, right? So part of it is awareness. The second thing is, if you want to make a shift or change in anything in your life, my opinion is you need a group of people to get around because we are social creatures. Even if you're an introvert, we are tribal people, right? We need a tribe. So we need people around us that will help hold us accountable, that we can work together on problems. So even introverts, right, rely on a community on some level. And so for me, when I came to the realization that I was not performing at the level that I wanted, and I wanted to be a front row dad, I did what I knew how to do. I got 30 of my friends together. We had an event. 3 days, we got together and we said, look, let's all share what's working at home and what's not. Where are you crushing it? And we can all learn from you. And where are you getting crushed so that we can all help you? And that is where it was our first event, was October 2016. 30 guys got together in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the US, and we were ready to level up our game as dads. That was the whole thing. Level up your game as a dad. And it quickly turned to also level up your game as a husband, because we realized that in order to be a great dad, we had to be a great husband. So we put as much energy, if not more energy, into marriages as we do actually being a dad, because when we are at our best as husbands, we are also being great dads in that moment. So that's what we do. So step 1 is awareness. Step 2 is community. And then once you're in a community, step 3 is like what most of us do is we start implementing one change at a time. We take one area of life and we hone in on that. So what we do is once a month, once a year, for our retreats, for our monthly calls within our membership group, we focus on 5 pillars of Front Row Dads. We focus on, vibrant health, emotional mastery, a thriving marriage, intentional parenting, and integrated living, which is like, how do we balance work and family life? So you pick an area and you say, what do I want? And then how do I get there? And you source it from other people who are doing well or that have traveled down that road, and you start experimenting like anything else. Like all of our businesses, that's how we win. But that's how we win at home too.
So we have, say, for one issue I hear from guys is the lack of confidence. I experienced that myself also. Sometimes, like, I don't know how to handle my kids. Like, my daughter is freaking out. It's like, what should I do?
Yeah.
Why is not my wife here? And it's the same with my wife. My wife in a certain mood, and I don't know what to do. And some days, like, I'm on. You can throw anything at me, it will bounce, or I will hug it. But do you have any thoughts you can share about how to support guys in raising their confidence? Like, actually, I matter. What I do makes a difference. And how?
Well, think about this. In any area of your life, right? Where have you once been not confident and then felt confident in anything? Think about like your life, any sport. Was it a musical instrument? Was it a school? Was it an academic piece? Like, where in your life did you move from not being confident to confident?
I mean, many. Business, marriage, kids for sure, community, social life.
So pick one specific example. Tell me a short story about a time when you moved from not being confident to confident. You didn't know I was going to flip the interview on you.
I love it. Thank you. So, okay. So a recent story is about sex and my wife. Those two in combination. She's the only one I'm having sex with. But it was I was in a space in my life where I wanted something. Came from a place of pain, and I came from a place of desperation. And she rejected me, and she did it hard, and it was super painful. I felt like shit. I felt unworthy. And we had a lot of conversation about it. Like, we knew, like, this is not how we want life to be. We both know that this is an important part of our life. And what happened was that I brought it home. Just like, what do I have to offer her? What is the point with me having sex with her? Why would she want to have sex with me? What's good about me? And it's a practice I still do, and I connected to myself, like, what is my gift? What is the value that shines her world up? How do I blow her away? And I started to connect to that deeper and deeper, and it took a couple of months, and then we said, like, okay, when practicing this, like, we're only gonna make love on a level of 10, or she's open on a level of 10. Yeah. Like 100%, I'm here, I want you. If not, it's not gonna happen. And it was my suggestion. I'm so stupid. But really, that has shifted so much, because, like, I know I have to show up, and I want to show up fully.
Yeah,
there's no question about that. And many times I'm not there, but that's okay. Yeah. Okay, what can I learn from this? And a big shift in this, that rejection has been so painful in my life, from my father, from a lot of people when growing up, from employers and all these kind of things, and especially from my wife. And now I see rejection is the biggest gift she can give me. That's her biggest blessing she can give me. So I went from being afraid, don't reject me, to like, come on, reject me. I will grow, and I will become better from that.
Yeah.
So my the foundation has changed a lot. So through that, it's a foundation that I only can win in this framework. I actually can't lose in it.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, part of what develops confidence is a shift in our perspective on things, right? So sometimes just talking it out or thinking it out. Sometimes in order to build confidence, we just need more thinking time, meditating time, silence time, right? To be able to learn the things we need to learn so that we can move forward. And if we really spent some time dissecting the story that you just shared, I'd be willing to bet there's other elements of that got you to where you wanted to be. There might have been a friend element, right? Going and talking to somebody. There might have been a book that you read that gave you some confidence or some information. Mm. But somehow, some way, there's a series of things that oftentimes shapes our confidence. One, it's the right group of people that we're surrounded by. Right? That's one. Number two, it's the information that we're getting. Man, if we let's use marriage and let's use sex as an example, okay? Because 2 years ago, my wife went on a place where I didn't even know if we were going to make it. I thought we might get divorced. And what happened was I had a discovery. I had a breakthrough that if I got divorced, I played this out. If I got divorced, what would I do? And I was like, oh, I'd probably buy a new car. I'd go get some new clothes. I'd probably start hitting the gym more. And if I dated somebody, I'd probably take them out on these epic dates and I would get super creative and do all these things to win them over. And I'd be funny and charming and right. I'd be adventurous and all these things. And I'm like, but wait, why am I not doing those things for my wife, the person that I've committed my life to? Why can't I just go get new clothes or go to the gym or right? Like any of those things, right? And it's interesting because I went back to that and said, it's exactly what I'm going to do. Flew her to New York on a shopping trip, got some new clothes. I started hitting the gym. I quit drinking actually as like part of my health plan. I did all sorts of things. And then I got a book. This is a suggestion, guys. This is an action item. A book called She Comes First. And basically the premise is make sure your wife has an orgasm before you do. Like one of the biggest screw ups for guys is they don't realize that you can be ready to have sex in like 60 seconds. And then you could have an orgasm in like 60 seconds, right? So guys they can move fast. Women are not ready fully for you to be inside them, sometimes for like 20 to 40 minutes. It takes women 20 to 40 minutes to get fully aroused. And if they're not fully aroused, it doesn't feel good at times, right? It's actually painful for them. It actually is uncomfortable. They don't want to have sex with you, right? So the thing that I realize is this, and by the way, I'm assuming I can get really specific on this show.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a pretty open book.
We have to pay attention because I think you have another meeting in 3 minutes. Is that true?
I do. Yeah.
So we have to.
Here's what I'll say. My final thought on this is, I made a commitment. This is a bold commitment that I said, I'm going to make sure that my wife has 3 orgasms before I have sex with her. 3 orgasms. And I will tell you that she went around and started telling all of our friends that I'm a sex god after that. But what's funny is that, you read a couple books on the subject, you get your shit together, you step up as a man, you stop being selfish, you take care of your woman, you show up powerfully, not to dominate, but that powerful presence, and you will win her heart back. And even if it's been lame for the last 10 years, you can have the best sex, you can have the best relationship starting this year.
Word. Thank you. Can you share where do you want people to connect to you? Where is the best place?
FrontRowDads.com. FrontRowDads.com. That's the place. And I love what you're doing, man. So listen, I think whatever community you're in, wherever you're going to get information, just surround yourself with great people. Just find a tribe that you resonate with. Ours is for high-performing entrepreneurial men who want to be family men with businesses, not businessmen with families. And so FrontRowDads.com is the website. Front Row Dads is the podcast, and we would love to talk with anybody. And we're grateful, by the way, for this conversation. And I love what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jon, for coming here and sharing all your wisdom. And there's so many more questions, so we'll see if we get it on another time. Thank you so much. And for
we'll do round 2.
Yes. And for you listening, thank you so much for joining us at Dadpreneur Revolution podcast with Jon Vroman. And I wish you a beautiful time with your kids and family and business. And let's step it up to the next level and fulfill your potential. Thank you. Have a beautiful time.